Sir. He has been associated with the Pahuja Law Academy since 2020. He has completed his LLB degree from MIT Law School, Noida, 2006 to 11 batch. He has been a practicing lawyer and has appeared before a forum like Delhi High Court and that. And he was simultaneously being appearing for UPSC IAS exam with the law subject as the optional subject. He has appeared for UPSC interview twice in the year of 2013 and 14, and also for the MP and UP Judiciary interview in 2019. He has a very good command over law subjects, and he has a very unique style of teaching and interlinking between the law subjects. We are very thankful to Pahuja Law Academy for this academic collaboration in the form of web. Kindly start the session, and we would delighted to hear you from you, sir. Please, sir.
Hello everyone. My name is Anurag Singh and thank you Mandeep sir for the wonderful introduction. Now, as Mandeep sir said that I have appeared for the various examinations including UPSC and various the state services examination also. So and I have also worked in the debt recovery tribunal, which is placed in Jhandewala in Delhi, if anybody have come across that. And I also appeared in Delhi High Court in few cases, but my calling, my inner calling was always for the services. It was either for the judicial services or for the civil services. So initially it was for civil services because my brother is an IPS officer. So that was something which kept me motivating कि मुझे भी वही करना है, and that is why I was always inclined towards the civil services. But another thing is that my father was a district judge, right? And he was uh, a district judge in Bihar. He was posted in Bihar at that time, and that is why my father also kept telling me, why don't you go for judicial services? You have already appeared for interview in the IAS examination, and you have also gave interview twice in the IAS examination. It will be easy for you if you go to the judicial services because GS वहाँ पर थोड़ी low है. So I was always fascinated कि हो सकता है, I can do this. And when I went, so I had an advantage. First advantage was my father, because he always used to back me कि ऐसे पढ़ो, ये करो. He was a judicial services officer, so he was very supportive of this. And because I have always seen कि what are the perks and the privileges that a judicial officer is having, what he gets by being a judicial officer. जब मैंने एग्जाम देना स्टार्ट किया, then I really focused on this कि क्या क्या perks and privileges होते हैं of a judicial officer. And that when एक बार जब मैंने वहां सोचना स्टार्ट किया, at that time I really came across that this actually the judicial services is the most prestigious and the most respected services in the whole of the country. I know I have, my brother is an IPS officer, तो मुझे पता है कि IPS officer की भी अपनी एक वो होती है. But even an IPS officer, when he goes to the court, he is there, his presence over there is very humble. उसे पता है कि जज के सामने I have to be at my best behavior. Even an IPS officer or even an IAS officer has to be at his best behavior. That is where it struck me, because my brother, मेरे भैया ने मुझे बताया that when I go to a court, even if it is a न्यू जज, सिविल जज जो अभी एंट्री लेवल पे आया है, आई हैव टू बी वेरी पोलाइट विथ हिम एंड आई हैव टू बी very respectful of anything he or she says, because that is the person who is going to give me relief. So अगर मैंने उसके साथ बदतमीजी की, so that would be fatal to my case, right? So that was the insight that my bhaiya gave, and that struck me कि okay, if an IAS officer or if an IPS officer is saying that even I am scared of judges, that means the most prestigious service in this country is the judiciary, and it is not the IAS and the IPS, right? That got me thinking कि okay, I should go for judiciary, right? And uske baad se I started paying attention, and the first thing that came to my mind was that I already had, because I had appeared for UPSC exams at that point. I had given interview in 2013 and 2014. So I had already had the examination mind set up, right? So when I went to judiciary, I knew that, okay, judiciary, I started thinking about judiciary. So my father told me, specifically, I asked him, what is the biggest privilege or the perks that you enjoy? And the one thing he told me, there is zero political interference. There is zero political interference. कोई भी politician, he cannot interfere in what you are doing. This is the one thing that separates judiciary from all the other services. So if you are in the judicial services, वहां पर political interference zero होता है. But in any service, let's say IAS and IPS, इसमें political you have to always obey your political masters, even if you disagree. Even if you disagree, आपको यहाँ पर उसकी बात माननी ही पड़ेगी. But that is not the case in judicial services. In judicial services, आप politicians की बात को बिल्कुल ignore कर सकते हो. In fact, you have to be anti-politics in judicial services. This was the first thing that my father told me. कि judicial services में क्या होता है? That political interference is always zero. First thing. Second thing, anywhere you go, you will be the most respected person. You will be the most respected person, right? Most respected person, right? So I started thinking, okay, there is zero political interference. That means if I want to do some good, I can actually do some good, because there will be no one to stop me. Like there will be no political considerations, or there will be no vested interest. कोई मुझे बोलेगा नहीं, especially politicians, कि ये आप ये नहीं कर सकते और आप ये नहीं कर सकते, या इसमें ऐसे कर दो. So I will be free to do what I want to do. So if you want to do some good for the society, do some good for the society. This is your calling. This is where you should head. That is judicial services. And in our country, unfortunately, it is the poorer sections of society who bear the brunt of the law. Poorer sections, they are the most pestil. सबसे ज्यादा परेशान किया जाता है the poorer sections of the society को law से. So the police is always looking for a scapegoat. उन्हें हमेशा चाहिए होता है. And at that time, the job of a judicial officer is to protect the rights of that poorer sections of the people. That is something which comes from inside. आपको अंदर से वो calling आनी चाहिए. And this service, because see, even the police officer who is, because my brother is a police officer, he's an IPS officer. He said that happens. I try to stop it, but I know I have my limits. मैं कुछ चीजें कर सकता हूं. But as a judicial services officer, there are ample opportunities where you can do justice. So it can be you who directs the police officer to investigate or not investigate, police officer to investigate. So that is a provision under CRPC. So under CRPC, under section 200 to 204, there is the provision of complaint. There is a provision of complaint where the magistrate can direct also investigation. There is under section 202, the magistrate can direct investigation. And also under section 156(3) of CRPC, if the police is refusing to register FIR, now suppose there is a person who belongs to the poorer section of society, he has a grievance, uske sath kuch hua hai, he goes to the police, and there the police is refusing to register the FIR, right, which happens more often, ye bahut hota hai. At that time, the person, he can approach the judge, and under the section 156(3) of CRPC, the judge may actually order an investigation. So you can see that agar police or the law enforcement agency or the government service is not complying with anything which his duty is, it is a judge who can give justice to that person. So this thing is something which you can do in order to do some good in the world. Now judicial services, I told you it is the most prestigious one, most respected one. There is zero political interference. And you can also see that अभी जैसे हम लोगों ने देखा section 156(3) of CRPC, if the police is refusing to register the FIR, you can directly go to the judge. So you can see that a judge is directly interacting with the public, and what he is doing, he is giving relief to the public, relief to the society. So by being a judge, you can actually make a change in the society. You can actually make a change in the society, right? And this happens too often. आपको कई बार, so if you are a person who has been who is a critic कि पुलिस अपना काम नहीं करती or this or that, anything, there are ample powers given to a magistrate under section 1 under the CRPC. मैंने एक power बताई है. This is only one power. Magistrate has a lot of power in CRPC. So in any criminal case, if you think that something wrong is being done, the magistrate has immense power under CRPC to give justice to the parties, or to the poorer sections of the society, which is also one of the goals of the constitution, right? Agar you must have heard about the preamble to the constitution. Preamble talks about justice, social, economic, and political. It talks about social, economic, and political. So that justice, especially the social justice, can be provided by a magistrate directly using his powers under the CRPC. So this was one example that if you become a judge, you can actually help people. It is a very satisfying thing to do, a very gratifying thing to do कि मैंने कुछ अच्छा किया है, because so many times you will see injustice happening, but you are helpless to do anything. तुम्हें पता होगा कि वो गलत है, but instead of doing something, you feel helpless because you think I have no power. How can I do this? You can actually, you can become a magistrate, join the judicial services, and then you will be able to help the people, right? But as you know, judicial services is not something that you can just do it. No, you don't do it, but ऐसा ही नहीं है कि you can just do it. आपको इसके लिए you have to work hard. You have to work hard. And even that, not work hard, I would say smart work. Not hard work, it is smart work which you have to do. For qualifying judicial, ना how अब पता तो चल जाएगा कि मैजिस्ट्रेट बन जाऊंगा या बन जाऊंगी तो क्या कर सकता हूँ या क्या कर सकती हूँ. But how do you become a judge, right? How do you become a judge? First thing you need to do, you need to familiarize yourself with the syllabus. Familiarize with syllabus, right? Now syllabus. So every state has a similar syllabus. It will be a 3-stage examination. It will be a 3-stage examination. First stage is the prelims exam. First stage is the prelims examination, right? Second stage is the mains examination. And the third one is the interview or the personality test. Interview or the personality test. This is common for all, either it is Delhi Judicial Services, UP Judicial Services, MP Judicial Services, or Rajasthan Judicial Services, Haryana, Uttarakhand, Himachal, any judicial services, Bihar, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, any judicial services, these three stages will be there. वहां पर हमेशा ही ये तीनों चीजें होंगी. Now these three stages will require three different approaches. ठीक है, सब्जेक्ट्स तो आपको वही करने हैं. लाइक द सिलेबस फॉर ईच जुडिशियल सर्विसेज इज स्लाइटली डिफरेंट. फॉर ईच जुडिशियल सर्विसेज इज डिफरेंट, बट इसमें भी कुछ कोर सब्जेक्ट्स होते हैं विच वी डीम एज कोर सब्जेक्ट्स. Core subjects. Now, core subjects mainly comprise of 7 subjects, which is CPC, CRPC, evidence, IPC, constitution, then we have contract, and then we have the Transfer of Property Act, which is also known as TPA, Transfer of Property Act. So these 7 subjects are known as the core subjects, and these are also known as the backbone of the judicial services. आपको इन 7 subjects पे command होना necessary. It is absolutely necessary if you want to qualify for judiciary. And all 7 subjects you have to study with all 3 different approaches. So suppose you are studying CPC, right? CPC, and now you have to study CPC from 3 different approaches. That is from the approach of prelims, from the approach of mains, and then there is the approach of the interview, right? Now prelims is the biggest hurdle that most people face. Prelims is the biggest hurdle that most people face. Prelims is the first one and first hurdle hai, but this, although most people think that this is the hardest one, this is the toughest one, but this is not the toughest one, because prelims is 70% bare act. Prelims में 70% questions they are going to be from the bare act, and they are going to ask you questions on very little things. बहुत छोटी छोटी चीजों पे वो तुमसे क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं. Like suppose, चलो देखते हैं हम लोग prelims, mains और interview. Let's take one topic, CPC का एक टॉपिक ले लेते हैं, and let's see कि एक ही सिंगल टॉपिक को हम लोग 3 different approaches से कैसे पढ़ते हैं. Let's see. Now let's say हम लोग ले रहे हैं section 26 and order 4 of CPC. Section 26 and order 4 of CPC. This is about the due institution of suits. Due institution of suits, right? So what does it mean, due institution of suits? It means that how do you properly file a suit in the court? This means how do you properly file a suit? Properly file a suit in the court. और इसको इस तरह से भी देख सकते हैं that what are the formalities that need to be fulfilled. What are the formalities that need to be fulfilled to file a suit? That need to be fulfilled to file a suit, right? So आप सूट कैसे फाइल करते हो? कोर्ट में जाना है, क्या करना है, कौन से डॉक्यूमेंट्स लेके जाना है, कौन से डॉक्यूमेंट्स आपको अलाउड है, विच डॉक्यूमेंट आर अलाउड, विच आर नॉट अलाउड, ये सारी चीजें हमारी जो है दे आर गिवन अंडर सेक्शन 26 एंड ऑर्डर 4, राइट? अब हम लोगों को देखना है कि अब ठीक है, वी नो कि these are the sections, section 26, and this is the order 4 of CPC, Institution of Suits. Now we have to study कि सबसे पहले देखते हैं कि if you are studying for prelims, we have to study the same thing. Section 26 ही पढ़ रहे हैं, but what is the different approach that I'm talking about? So first thing, if you can see on your screens, there is Institution of Suits, and I have the section 26 of the CPC on my screen. So देखो एक बार, subsection 1 of section 26 says every suit shall be instituted by the presentation of a plaint. Every suit shall be instituted by the presentation of a plaint. तो देखो बहुत सिंपल सा यहाँ पर ये कह रहा है, section 26 का subsection 1 very simply says suit shall start with a plaint. बहुत सिंपल है यहाँ पर, राइट? अब देखो section 26 subsection 1 से अगर प्रीलिम्स में क्वेश्चन पूछना हो तो the question is going to be something like this. A suit commences by, and then they will give you 4 options: by filing an application in the court. Then the second option would be by filing a written complaint, to the judge. C, by presentation of a plaint, and D would be, let's say, none of the above. अब देखो section 26 का subsection 1, it gave a very simple statement: suit shall be instituted by the presentation of a plaint. That simple sentence has been turned into a question. So here a suit commences by, so they have changed the wording, institution को उन्होंने change कर दिया है commences by में. And when this statement is, we know the answer to this question is option C, by presentation of a plaint. But just look at it कि एक simple statement को, which was section 26 का subsection 1, how they have turned that into a question. ठीक है? So that is why Bare Act पढ़ना है, but Bare Act is, हम prelims में I said that 70% questions are going to be from the Bare Act, but Bare Act you should know thoroughly. So for prelims, you should be thorough with the Bare Act. Right? We just saw one example कि किस तरह हम लोग Bare Act पढ़ते हैं. और for prelims, this approach is needed. The Bare Act, you should be thorough with the Bare Act. Now I gave one example. अब देखो topic अभी भी वही है, section 26 and institution of suits है. Now let's change this. अब इसी चीज को हम लोग means के हिसाब से कैसे पढ़ेंगे, right? Same topic, that is section 26 and order 4. Now let's change the approach according to means. अब देखो section 26 में subsection 1 में we read that there must be a plaint to start a suit. So a suit is instituted by the presentation of a plaint, right? ठीक है. What is a plaint? What is a plaint? What contents should be there in a plaint? What contents should be there in a plaint? What contents should not be there in a plaint? What contents should not, contents should not be there in the plaint? Should not be there in the plaint. और most importantly, section 26 कहता है कि there shall be a plaint to start a suit. हम लोग plaint लेके करें क्या? Where do we go with the plaint? Plaint लेकर के करें क्या? क्या इसे ले जाकर के सीधा जज को हैंड ओवर कर दें? That this is my plaint. right? So these are the questions that section 26 subsection 1 leaves out. Although कि वहाँ plaint mentioned है, but still what we do with the plaint is not mentioned there. What we do with the plaint is not mentioned over there. So this question, the same topic, institution of suits में प्रीलिम्स में हम लोगों ने देखा कैसे किया. अब देखो मेंस में इसे कैसे पढ़ते हैं. So first thing, section 26 subsection 1 tells you that there must be a plaint to start a suit. Subsection 2, let's read subsection 2. It says, in every plaint fact shall be proved by affidavit. In every plaint fact shall be proved by affidavit. Okay, ठीक है. तो ये subsection 2 says that plaint के साथ एक affidavit भी होना चाहिए. There must also be an affidavit with the plaint. अब हम लोगों को पता चल गया कि we need to have a plaint to institute a suit and that plaint needs to be accompanied by an affidavit. But क्या कंटेंट होगा प्लेंट का? व्हाट इज द कंटेंट ऑफ द प्लेंट? और एफिडेविट में क्या लिखेंगे हम लोग, राइट? क्या नहीं लिखेंगे हम लोग? एंड जब हम लोग के पास प्लेंट एंड एफिडेविट हो, व्हाट डू वी डू विद दिस प्लेंट एंड एफिडेविट? कहां लेकर के जाए? तो दीज क्वेश्चंस हैव नॉट बीन आंसर्ड. सो हियर वी हैव टू लुक एट ऑर्डर 4, राइट? ऑर्डर 4. अब section 26 and order 4, they complete the topic of due institution of suits. Due institution of suits. So the corresponding order for section 26 is order 4. Now order 4 में हम लोगों को ये सारे questions पता चलेंगे that what should be there in a plaint, what should not be there in a plaint, और ये सब सारे documents लेके हम जाएं कहां पर, right? So यहाँ पर if you have just look at the screen, यहाँ पर order 4 में you can see institution of suits पर है और it says every plaint shall be instituted by presenting a plaint in duplicate to the court. Look at the screen, it says to the court or such officer as it appoints in this behalf. So हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं? plaint उसका duplicate और affidavit लेकर के कहाँ जाना है? to the court or such officer as it appoints in this behalf. So the question हम लोग जो पूछ रहे थे कि plaint और affidavit लेके कहां जाए, that question has been answered in order 4 rule 1 sub rule 1. So when you have the plaint and you have also you need to have the copy of the plaint and you also need the affidavit. When you have all three, you go to either you go to the court or you go to the officer appointed by the court. Officer appointed by the court. Now this officer sits at the filing counter. ये कहाँ बैठता है? At the filing counter, right? So and the judge, अब देखो you can go to the court, but this rarely happens because the judge is too busy to deal with cases. That is why he's not there to accept the plaint and the affidavit. So वो क्या करता है? He appoints the officer who has to deal with this on a daily basis. So हम लोगों को पता चला कि there must be a plaint and an affidavit, and then there must be a copy of the plaint also, and then we have to submit that at the filing counter, right? यहां तक तो हम लोग का क्लियर है, right? अब यहां पर अभी भी हम लोगों का जो क्वेश्चन that which is not been answered is what should be the contents of the plaint? What should be the contents of the plaint? Content plaint में क्या होना चाहिए, क्या नहीं होना चाहिए? That question is still unanswered. So order 4 rule 1 sub rule 2, ये देखो क्या लिखता है? Every plaint shall comply with the rules contained in order 6 and order 7 so far as they are applicable. तो order 4 का rule 1 sub rule 2 ये एक्चुअली हमें बताता है कि what should be the contents of the plaint and what should not be the contents of the plaint. तो ये बताता है the plaint shall comply with order 6 and order 7. What is order 6? Order 6 is pleadings generally. This is pleadings generally. Pleadings generally. Now in CPC, whenever the word pleadings comes, that means pleadings का मतलब होगा either plaint or written statement. In the very rule number 1, order 6 का rule 1 that says pleadings shall mean plaint or written statement, and of course you all know that plaint is filed by the plaintiff and the written statement is filed by the defendant. Right, so pleadings generally की बात जब कर रहा है तो this is giving you a general rule for both, for plaint as well as the written statement. Right, now the second one is order 7. Order 7. Now order 7 specifically relates to plaint. So there is a whole order dedicated to plaint. So in this order is actually the one which tells you about the contents of the plaints, actually tells you about the content of the plaint, about the contents of the plaint. Right, so order 7 में there are numerous वो क्या कहते हैं details, that there must be the name and description of the plaintiff, name and description, and there must be the name and description of the defendant, and the property, description of the property, what kind of relief you are asking for, and is the suit barred by res judicata, is the suit barred by limitation. All those things, they are the contents of the plaint which are to be mentioned in the plaint. So ये हमारा actually जो question था, 2 question हम लोगों ने वहां पूछे थे, that what is the contents of the plaint, what should be contents of the plaint, and what do we do with that, वो ले जाके कहाँ submit करना है. Now those 2 questions have been answered, right? But there is one more thing remaining here, and that is in pleadings generally. Order 6 में there is order 6 rule 15. Order 6 rule 15, which is verification of pleadings. Verification of pleadings. So verification of pleadings, what does it mean? Order 6 rule 15 में verification is a document that has to be accompanied. It is a document which has to be accompanied with the plaint. हम लोगों को पता है, हम लोग को अभी तक क्या चाहिए था, plaint चाहिए थी. We also needed the copy of plaint and we needed the affidavit. अब ये बात, this was already said in section 26 and order 4, right? अब हमारा order 4 में एक चीज और लिखी हुई थी कि the plaint should comply with order 6, and in order 6 there is a rule for verification of pleadings. Now verification of pleadings is a very important part, even in litigation, even in the judicial examination, because this is the part which will tell you how to apply law on facts. Law कैसे apply करते हैं on facts, right? So for this you need to understand. I'm giving you an example, और please example ये ध्यान में रखना, because this is a very important point. Suppose there is this person A who has a house, who lives in Delhi, right? He has a house, he lives in Delhi. As the owner of the house, A has a right to exclusive possession. Right to exclusive possession, right? So now let's say that A went to Chennai for 1 year. He went to Chennai for 1 year, and when he came back to Delhi, he saw that the house was in the occupation of B. House was in the occupation of B, right? अब ये है situation, ये है कि A दिल्ली में एक घर था, and because he was the owner, he had a right to exclusive possession. When A went to Chennai for 1 year and he came back, he saw that house was in the occupation of B. Now what A does, A goes to his advocate or his legal advisor, right? And A gives him all the facts. He tells the advocate that my name is so and so, and my house is here, and this person B has occupied my house. I went to Chennai for 1 year, and when I came back, I saw that B is in the occupation of the house and he's not letting me inside the house. Now, what do I do now? So facts have all been provided by the client. Here, the advocate is going to advise him upon the law, right? Like the advocate is going to say that yes, you do have a case and you can file a suit under section 5 of SRA, that is Specific Relief Act, or you can file a suit under section 6 of SRA. Now these are the points of law. So the points of facts are provided by the plaintiff or the client, and the points of law are provided by the client, by the advocate, sorry. So whenever a verification is done, in this document you have to write both things. That means facts and law. And whenever the plaintiff is verifying these facts, he has to say that the facts I am verifying upon my own knowledge. And law is upon information received and believed to be true. So this is the verification document. It looks something like this. So facts pe he's going to say that I am verifying this upon my own knowledge, and law pe he's going to say that the information received and believed to be true. So verification is a very important step because verification reveals the cause of action, right? Even in the plaint you have to mention the cause of action. Now what is cause of action? You need to understand. This is a concept which is important for the interview. What is cause of action? Cause of action consists of two elements. That is, the first one is existence of a legal right. And the second one is denial or infringement of that right. So in our case, जो हम लोग एक example लिया था हम लोगों ने, because A was the owner of the house, what he did, he had the right to exclusive possession. Right? And the second point is, when B occupied A's house, B occupied A's house, he was actually infringing upon the right of A. Infringing on A's right. So we can see that both the elements of cause of action have been fulfilled. That is right to exclusive possession and the infringing on A's right. So because of these facts, A gets a cause of action. So all these things must be told to the court. And how do you tell it to the court? By filing a plaint. Now let's come back to our topic, which was means कैसे अप्रोच करते हैं ड्यू इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑफ सूट्स पे. सो ड्यू इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑफ सूट्स हम लोगों ने देखा. ड्यू इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑफ सूट्स, that there must be, first section 26, it tells you that there must be a plaint and there must be an affidavit, right? And then the second point was it must also fulfill order 4, which is the institution of suits. तो डिटेल यहां पर दी हुई है, institution of suits. Then there was third point in order 4, there is order 6, which is pleadings generally. And then there was order 7, which was specific to plaint. And lastly, number 5 was order 6, rule 15, which is verification of pleadings. So देखो, we are studying the same thing, which is institution of suits, but in जब institution of suits we were studying from the prelims point of view, we had to only look at the bare act, और bare act से ज्यादा आपको नहीं करना था वहां पर. But when we are studying the same thing, that is due institution of suits from the point of view of mains, you have to go into these points and describe these points in detail. That is the difference between prelims and mains. So एक ही point को देखा, हम लोग institution of suits की ही बात कर रहे थे in prelims and in mains. So this is the different approach that you have to take, right? And the third stage is interview stage. Third stage is the interview stage, which is the most important and the most neglected one. And this is the most important. Why? Because देखो, जैसे अभी हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया cause of action. Cause of action. Many people, they understand what is cause of action, but when you ask them to explain that what is cause of action, they will not be able to explain it properly. They will say something like reason to file a suit. Reason to file a suit. Or cause of action is why did you come to the court? Why did you come to the court? Why did you come to the court? Now, if you give these kinds of answers in the interview is not going to be impressed. Why? Because this is a layman's answer. ये तो general meaning है. As a student of law and as someone who is practicing law, you need to be specific. आपको legal terminology में ये बताना है कि ये कैसे होता है. And just like we saw that cause of action has two elements. One is the existence of a legal right, and second is the denial or the infringement of that right. Denial or infringement of that right. So interview में they ask you concept based questions. आपके conceptual questions होते हैं always in the interview, right? अब जैसे मान लो तो they ask you what is a plaint? What is a plaint? Your answer would be a plaint is a statement of cause of action. A plaint is a statement of cause of action. So the next question they are going to ask you will not be any question different from this. जो पहला क्वेश्चन था तुम्हारा, उसका जो तुमने आंसर दिया, उसी आंसर के बेसिस पर सेकंड क्वेश्चन होगा. So the second question is, what is a cause of action? What is a cause of action? And as soon as you answer this, the third question would be again, जो इसका आंसर होगा उस पर होगा हमारा third one, right? The third question is going to be based upon this answer. So वो cross questioning करते हैं तुम्हारे आंसर पे. So अगर तुम मान लो तुम्हें ये पता है, in the beginning you know that a plaint is a statement of cause of action. Well and good. ये तो आप bare act से बता सकते हो. Bare act से बता सकते हो, right? But what is a cause of action? Now this is not in the bare act. Not in the bare act. This is something which is you either study through your teacher or you go through the books. Even books में भी clear नहीं दिया हुआ है वो, right? So जब आप ये सब आपको thorough रहना पड़ता है. First thing is with the bare act. Second is through the concepts and the application. First, so for the prelims, it will be very easy for you if you are thorough with the bare act. And in the mains, you have to be thorough with the concepts and applications. And in the interview or the personality test, what is going to happen is that cross questioning on basics. Cross questioning on basics. And also in interview, they are judging your personality. So this is more focused towards your personality. That देखो, anybody who is appearing for the interview, उसे knowledge तो है. That is why he or she has qualified prelims or mains, तभी वो interview देने आया है. How do you present that knowledge? कैसे करते हो? That is based upon your personality. So you really need to keep your temper in the interview. You don't need to be hyper, you don't need to be angry, you don't need to be very jolly. Nahi, you have to maintain that temperaments, because they are looking for someone who when becomes a judge does not capitulate under pressure. So वो does not feel pressured, because when you become a judge, all kinds of lawyers will try to manipulate you and they will try to intimidate you. So वहां पर वो judge जो है वो pressure में ना आ जाए lawyer से. That is why they also check your temperament, right? So you need to be very thorough with this. So it is a 3-stage process: prelims, mains, and interview. And all the 3 stages have different approaches. They have different approaches, and you have to go through each and every stage or with a different approach. जैसे हम लोगों ने अभी देखा demonstration of suits में, prelims में कैसे पढ़ना है उसे, mains में कैसे पढ़ना है उसे, और interview में कैसे पढ़ना है. And you have to go through the 7 core subjects which are in every 7 core subjects. ये तो in every judicial service आपको ये 7 subjects मिलते ही मिलते हैं in every judicial service, right? But there are also other subjects which you have to go through, but every state will have slightly different one. और इसके बाद ये भी देखो, there are certain local law subjects, right? Like let's say Delhi has the Delhi Rent Control Act. Now that Rent Control Act is only applicable to Delhi. So if you are appearing for the Delhi Judicial Services, you need to be thorough with the Delhi Rent Act. If you are appearing for the UP Judicial Services, the local laws, they are many. The UP Zamindari Abolition or the UP Revenue Code of 2006, or so there बहुत सारे हैं यहाँ पर, कंसोलिडेशन एक्ट, पंचायत राज एक्ट, एंड देयर आर आल्सो म्युनिसिपैलिटीज एक्ट. तो बहुत सारे एक्ट हैं यूपी के लोकल लॉज में. सो एवरी स्टेट is going to have the main subjects, and then it is also going to have some different subjects. So that is why your focus, जैसे मान लो कि someone has a focus of UP judiciary, so you need to be thorough with the syllabus first. Syllabus क्या है, and according to that syllabus make a plan and then study according to the plan, right? So that is something which you need to keep in mind when you are studying judiciary, that पहले plan बना लो, because you know that there is a 3-stage process and you have to keep different approaches for all the processes. So why is planning necessary? Because you need to be consistent. आपको consistency बहुत जरूरी है यहाँ पर. You need to be consistent. Now let me tell you my experience about the examination. First is the UPSC examinations. I had appeared for interview in 2013 and in 2014. So I had the experience. Okay, I gave the prelims, I gave the mains, and I gave the interview. Interview में थोड़ा सा मेरे marks कम रह गए both times, and then I went to the judicial services examinations. And judicial services examinations, these are very demanding. As in, देखो, judicial services examinations can be very demanding, and at the same time they can be very easy because this is your own subject. UPSC में GS बहुत ज्यादा आती थी, right? So आपका optional subject used to take a back seat and you have to concentrate on the GS. But judicial services में you have law subjects, because already 3 years or 5 years तक तुमने law subjects पढ़े हैं. So this is going to be your strength. So this was supposed to be your strength, and that is why repeated revisions are necessary for this, and you need to be thorough with the syllabus. हर एक चीज का अप्रोच आपको प्रीलिम्स, मेंस और इंटरव्यू में रखना पड़ता है, and you also need to be thorough with the Bare Act and the means, the concepts, etc. and interviews. And at Pahuja Law Academy, we provide guidance for all three stages, that is prelims, and we also provide for mains, and we also provide guidance for the interview, right? So prelims ke liye we have various MCQ tests, and for mains also we have mains answer writing sessions, and for interview we have the IGP, which is the interview guidance program. So for all three stages, जैसा कि हम लोगों ने कहा, the MCQs are going to be based upon the mainly upon the Bare Act, not all MCQs. Mains answer writing is where you will write the answer and the teacher will check it. Suppose it is my subject, I will check it and I will give you the feedback of how to improve your answer in the mains. And in the interview guidance program, there are various experts and various ex-judges also who sit at our panel, and when you give the mock interviews, they will give you feedback that how to improve your presentation or how to approach a judge, or when the judge is asking you questions. Because देखो, in most interviews that I have faced, especially in judicial services, there are four panelists होंगे हम, right? One is a senior IAS officer. The second is a high court judge. The third is a legal expert, or he may also be a teacher in a, let's say, Lucknow University or any NLU. They invite also teachers from the various law colleges, and they also invite someone who is a lawyer, a practicing lawyer, and they will ask you questions one by one. ये एक एक करके तुमसे question पूछते हैं. IAS officer and the high court judge and the teacher and the practicing lawyer, all of them will ask you questions one by one. The starting is generally by the high court judge. Generally, it is the high court judge who starts the questioning, right? So he is going to grill you upon the judge side of things, that how should a judge approach law, right? And the legal expert, when it is his or her turns, he or she will ask you question about the concepts. वो पूछता है तुमसे concepts, right? कि कैसे concepts होते हैं, and then he will try to cross question you. The high court judge, he will listen to you, although you are answering to the legal expert, but the high court judge is very closely listening to you, right? That is why you are not answering only to the legal expert, you are also answering to the judge. And when you are जब legal expert questions पूछ लेता है, and after that the practicing lawyer is going to grill you. Why? Because he needs to understand that you know how a lawyer thinks. अगर तुम ये समझ पाओगे कि how a lawyer thinks, only then you will be able to figure out as a judge कि वो lawyer चाहता क्या है. वो बोल तो ये रहा है लेकिन वो करना ये चाहता है. So that is where the practicing lawyer comes in, and he is actually the one who is trying to figure out that are you able to understand what the lawyers in front of you are trying to argue. Are they arguing about the facts? Are they arguing about the law? Or are they just arguing for the sake of arguing, right? So you need to be understanding. So ये lawyer आपको grill करता है. And lastly, the IAS officer, he is going to question you generally. IAS officer जो होता है, senior IAS officer, he is going to question you generally, because in a court there is also the administrative side, right? जहां पर कि आपके कोर्ट के स्टाफ होते हैं, and you have to manage your staff. So if your staff is not cooperating with you, what are you going to do? That is the question which the IAS officer is going to ask you. Or if there is someone who is in the court, मान लो कोई accused and he's abusing you, what are you going to do? Now that is not something which that legality is being judged by the High Court judge and the practicing lawyer. The IAS officer is there to test your personality. वहां पर वो question आपसे ऐसे पूछेगा कि an accused who you know should be granted bail but just now he has committed something abusive. उसने कुछ abuse आपको गालियां ही दे दी अगर. So what are you going to do? Are you going to refuse bail because he abused you, or you are going to ignore that abuse because and give the bail because that is the right thing to do? What are you going to do? And these type of questions will come from the IS officer. Now, as you can see, this is just one example of the interview that I faced. This is my personal experience. Or for this, to be prepared for this, because agar bina preparation ke gaye, so there would be that the interview is going to be a disaster, right? So bina preparation ke agar gaye, so आपका जो भी आपने मेहनत की थी प्रीलिम्स में, मेंस में, all that will be zero. कुछ नहीं होगा. So that is why when we organize interview guidance programs, we tend to invite up all people from one field. एक field से सभी लोग आ जाए. And there they will do the same thing. They will give you the mock interviews and then they will try to improve. कैसे improve करना है? Now suppose that the IAS officer is telling you that okay आपका law over हो गया था 2021 में, but you are giving the examination in 2023. What were you doing for 2 years? This is, देखो ये चीज छोटी सी चीज है, but explain the gap. He is going to be the one who is going to ask the question, explain the gap. अगर इंटरव्यू में डायरेक्टली ये क्वेश्चन पूछ दिया तो you will be fumbling about the answer कि क्या बोलूं, क्या करूं, क्या इसका आंसर दूं. So this type of question is anticipated in our interview guidance program और हम लोग पहले से ही तुम्हें उसके लिए prepare कर देंगे कि if they ask you question like this, what you should say. So हम लोग ये चीज prelims, mains और interviews all three we go through all three. Prelims MCQs test होते हैं on a regular basis. Mains answer writing is also done on a regular basis, and interview when you are qualified, when you have qualified the mains and you are appearing for the interview, at that time whenever the interview is scheduled उसके हम लोग 15-20 दिन या 1 महीना पहले we start the interview guidance program. So all three stages, at all three stages, Pahuja Law Academy is going to be with you for the prelims, for the mains and for the interviews. आपका final selection जब तक ना हो जाए, we are not letting you go, right? So this was the information that I was trying to give you. This is a very interesting observation, or this is a very interesting session, because see, when I was preparing, people did tell me कि क्या होता है और कैसे होता है, but some things you gain by experience. आप हमेशा experience से सीखते हो कि कैसे करना चाहिए, and my experience has taught me a lot of things, and among those I did share some things with you. Just give me a minute. Is there wait, Mandeep sir, can you hear me?
Yes sir, yes sir. I'm here.
Sir, if can I take questions from the students?
Please sir.
If anybody wants to ask any question, you may ask now about the examination process or the judicial services in general, or the examination process in general. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask it.
Students, you may put up questions if you have any. You can even put up the questions in the chat box. So there are a few questions which has been put on the WhatsApp message.
Okay.
So shall I share those questions with you?
Yes, yes, yeah, you can. Please do.
Yes, sir. So one question which the students have been asking, are the classes being taken up online these days, or have you started with the offline classes?
No, for the time being, it is online and lectures are provided for that. But we are looking forward to offline classes very soon. But as soon as the vaccination process is over and the government gives the permission, we will switch to offline classes very soon.
Okay. Sir, and one more thing, maybe you can share the the branches and everything, some kind of pamphlet with the students, so that would be helpful because they have been asking for that. And
Okay.
other than that, I have even shared the feedback form with the students, so I'm sure they would be filling it up. So this was one question that came up to me, and there was another question. A student was asking, okay, yeah. So he has asked, do you have a physical branch in Greater Noida by any chance?
Greater Noida, not yet, not yet. But
Okay.
we are planning. That is in our plans, and we would like to expand to Greater Noida, but not yet. We are for now. He or she can join the online classes. That is open to everyone.
Okay, so I think the like Pahuja Law Academy, they can share one brochure with us
Yes.
whereby the fees and all the charges that would be, because the students would take some time to think and plan, whosoever is interested for the judiciary coaching. So
Yeah.
this would be one aspect. And
Yeah.
students, if there is any other questions, if you want to put up, you're free to ask. Anything you want to ask?
Any student, please, I welcome all questions. Any question about the examination process or what was my experience. I can see some names. Please ask your questions.
So I'm sure they all must be just thinking of it as of now. Like it is something pretty new because we have the fourth year students who have joined us. The final
Okay.
years they have all like they have been awarded the like the mark sheets are already given to them and they would be awarded degrees very soon. So they have made their own frame of mind at what they would be doing after that. So we have
Okay.
the fourth year kids. They are kind of small as of now. So they must be planning. And I'm
Okay.
sure if there are any questions, you can even drop your email ID on the chat box, sir, or you
Okay.
can share the email ID with me.
Yeah, okay. I will share. I will share my email ID. And if you have any queries generally to the examination process, you can always mail me, and I will be more than happy to respond to your questions and your queries. And it was such a nice session, ma'am. It was Mandeep sir and Pooja ma'am, both of you. It was very nice talking to you. I like
Thank you,
people who
sir.
are as interested as me in the legal fraternity.
Yes, sir. So, sir, I think we do not have any questions as such. So, but if any student is interested, they would be directly getting in touch with you, and I would be taking up your email ID and phone number and sharing with the students. And so, with this, we reach towards the end of this very informative academic webinar on career after law, judicial service. So, I, Pooja Kumari, on behalf of School of Law, Galgotia University, would like to extend a warm thank you to you, sir, because I think you have in a very wonderful manner shared with the students how to approach the judiciary examination, and along with that, what are the major subjects you need to study in the prelims, in the mains, in the interview rounds. So these are few aspects I'm sure you have given clarity to the students. And even along with that, the idea of the local subject and the compulsory subjects which is there, the local laws to be precise. So I think if there are any more questions, students would be getting in touch with you. And along with that, I would even like to thank our patrons, our Honorable Chancellor Sir, our Honorable Vice Chancellor Ma'am, CEO Sir, and our Dean Ma'am, Dr. Namita Singh Malik, who has made this session possible because she was the one who got us in to collaborate with Pahuja Law Academy. So we are really grateful for that.
Mm.
And again, I thank all the participants for their graciously attending this academic webinar. And I have even shared a link for the feedback form. So that is a link for the feedback form for Pahuja Law Academy and even for Anurag sir. So you may fill up this link. And with this, I end this session. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here. It was really nice. It was really wonderful.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Same here, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
So with this, we are ending the session, sir. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Okay.